Okay, we're going to talk about installing MongoDB on Windows. So let's just go do that. So we're going to go over to the MongoDB site and just download the tarball or the zip file, if you will, with the MongoDB binaries. The MongoDB site to downloads, and then we'll pick which download we want. You'll see different versions here. Generally, you're going to want the first one, which will be the current production release. The even numbers for the middle digit are the stable releases. The odd numbers for the middle digit are the dev branch. And here we see the release candidate for the next stable release, which will be 2.2.1. But that's still a release candidate, so we'll stick to 2.2.0. Over here are the Windows builds. Generally, you always want to get the 64-bit build. In MongoDB, the storage engine uses memory map files, so for larger databases you need the 64-bit binary. So always default to that, use that in production. If your desktop development machine is 64-bit, use this version, right? Because if that were the case, both of these will work on your desktop, but you'll want to use this and just be close to production. If you do have 32-bit operating system on your desktop, that's okay. For development, this will be fine. So grab whichever of these is appropriate. And of these two, you'll see there's this special build here under 64-bit called 2008 Plus. If you look at the bottom of the page by the asterisk, it'll give you more details on this release. If you click, it's going to download it. This release uses a new API in Windows called Slim Reader Writer Lock, which makes the server perform a little bit better. So use this if you have a newer version of Windows. That'd be Windows Server 2008 R2 and higher, and Windows 7 and higher on the desktop client side. So I do have Windows 7 here, I think, so I've just downloaded this. So now if you click here, it will download it. I'm going to flip over to Explorer, and we'll see what I downloaded, hopefully. And here it is under my downloads directory. So inside the zip file, I have the README and such, and then the binaries are in here. So what I'm going to do is put this in the more convenient location. So let's go over here, and I'll just make a directory. You could put this wherever you like. You may not be able to put it off the top directory if you don't have the right privileges. Let's try this though. I'll give you 2.2, and then we'll go back over to here, and I'll actually open a window for that. I'll just drag and drop these over. So I'll grab all these, drag them into here. That'll extract them from the zip file permanently. Okay, now we'll close this. Okay. So we now got these in a directory called MongoDB 2_2. So now we can go run it. So it's pretty much that simple. We'll see the files here. So you'll see, I think the key files here are the mongod.exe, which is the database, mongo.exe without the D, which is the administrative shell, and mongos, which is the sharding controller. Right. So to start the database, run mongod.exe. And then to access it for DBA and administrative operations, use mongo.exe. So let's do that. Now, we'll need a directory to put the files in, and the default directory is /data/db. You can use whatever you want if you specify the db path command line setting, but let's just use the default here, so I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to make a subdirectory under there called that, and that's the default, so that way it's present, and we'll be all set. The main database is MongoD without the B. D is for daemon.exe, so there's that. So if you like, you could do this. You can see what version you have. You can also do --help and get a lot of details on the command line options. I will run this now. So just mongod.exe or just like that, run it. We've created our data directory, I believe. Yeah, DataDB exists, so let's give this a try. Allow access, and we're up. So the database is running now on my local machine. It turns out this is a 32-bit machine, so I've actually went and grabbed the 32-bit version of the binaries. So because the operating system here is 32-bit, but we're up and running. So now if we go over to a different window, we can try it. So if you have some development tools and clients for your programming language, you could try that now. But in addition, we can just go into the administrative shell, which is called Mongo, and connect to it. So the Mongo shell is sort of just an administrative shell like you might use with another database. So we're just going to connect here to the local host. By default, it will connect to localhost in the test database, and then you can see the options here to connect to whatever you like. So if I do this, That's sort of equivalent to just running it by itself. And here we are connected. Okay, so we did connect to our server here, and there is a variable predefined called db, which represents our connection to the server. So at this point, we could do something like show dbs or show collections in our current db. When there are not any. So we could do something. We have the test database here we're working with, db.mycollection.insert hello world. And there we have some data in there. So that's that. Now we could exit the shell with Control-C, or we could type exit. And if we look in DataDB, we'll now see that there are some files over there. Now it is possible to run Mongo, the DB, the server, as a service, as a Windows service. There are some command line options for that. And if we look in the help, or you could look in the documentation, you could find that. I think you will see them. Scroll up, there you go. Windows Service Control Manager options. So I find that when I'm doing development on a development box, I just run it as a foreground process and not as a service. On the server, you're probably going to run it as a service. So just doing something like this, I find perfectly adequate on my devs box. And same thing when I run a MongoOS process, for example, which is the sharding controller. But it can be done this way if you like, so just make a note of that. So I think that's it. We have it installed.